How do I make this work? Huh? Oh, still figuring this part out. Erika!
Oh.
Okay, hold on. I need to figure out how to make this work right. Okay. I am still figuring out all these settings. This being my first time of stream, where did my book go? This being my first time of actually streaming from Zoom to YouTube. I'm still figuring out how all of it works.
Yeah.
And there's like a, I don't know, 5-second delay or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it has like YouTube and Zoom. And so I would say something and then I would hear myself say it over there. And then so I muted it on where it shows me on YouTube so that I'm not hearing it twice. And hopefully it will all work out right. It's really funny watching me do all the things that I just finished with. All right. We have Elisa. We have Elisa's face. All right. Becca said she won't be long. I am.
I'm sure Karen will be on in a minute.
All right. And I super dropped the ball with the reading this week.
Did you get them read?
I read more than half of the pages.
I will say same.
Erika, you may end up leading all of the discussion. So what's everybody making today? Oh, before we say that though, I do need to mention I'm still coughing a lot. Coughs tend to hang around for quite a while for me, but I actually have a doctor's appointment scheduled for tomorrow because we're trying to figure out if there's a residual secondary infection that the COVID from a few weeks ago caused. So
yeah,
trying not to cough too much, and I may be muting myself off and on.
Okay.
So what's everybody making today?
I'm making a circular shawl.
Oh, cool.
Poncho shawl.
Like a poncho?
Cute.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's really pretty.
Thank you.
I love it.
Awesome yarn I got a couple years ago. So it's like 4 strings together, and it slowly one by one changes to the next color so that they don't all change at once.
That's really cool.
Oh. I'm working on hairpin lace crochet,
Oh yeah.
which is not going to give me much to show because I just have like I have my strips of things that I've crocheted, but I haven't actually started lacing them all together yet. So one of these weeks, hopefully I'll be able to show people what I'm making with this, but today it's just going to be continuing on the pins, the loom, the whatever this thing is. So, quick question. The late Arthur Jermyn, like, is it actually pronounced like German?
Let me see.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was Jermyn or German, but I kept
German or-
reading German.
I think that my brain read Jermaine, but that was just to distinguish it as a name.
Well, I kept
There's nothing in it that indicates that that's how it should be pronounced.
wait. Hey, I just found a spot that has a hyphen that it very definitely says German, but in the title it says German, but I just realized that in the running head it says Jerem.
Jerem.
Gerymn instead of MYN.
Interesting.
So I haven't, it looks like that's just a typo in the running head.
You found a typo.
Hi, have we met?
I'm laughing because it's just so you.
It is. but it just got me looking at all of the rest. I'm like, no, it really does say German in the thing. It's, yeah, apparently just the running head. It just made me pause for a minute going, wait, have I been reading his name wrong the whole time and it's actually Jerem? Hi, Karen.
Hi. I don't know how it's pronounced. I think it's Jerryman. There's a Y in it.
Well, the Y is between the M and the N, except for in the running head where it's before the M.
That's funny.
No
So
idea.
What are you making today, Karen?
I'm making a bracelet.
Nice.
What are you making it with?
Hufflepuff colors. Is it supposed to be Hufflepuff colors?
She did. She said Hufflepuff. Yeah.
Nice.
I have a Gryffindor one already done.
Nice.
Okay, so really fast. Everybody houses are.
Hufflepuff. Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff primary with a strong Gryffindor secondary.
I usually say that I'm a Ravenpuff.
That makes sense.
Karen's a Ravenpuff. No, I'm a Huffleclaw. There's a difference. Oh, she's
Yes.
a Huffleclaw. My bad.
And Becca is. Okay, so Becca and my brother, they had this whole thing about it when they were getting married because one of them calls themselves Huff and Claw and the other one's a Ravenpuff, and I can't remember which one's which right now.
Yeah.
I think she's the Ravenpuff and he's the Huffleclaw, but I might be mixing that up. When they got married, my dad made for like a bridal shower, wedding shower, I guess it was not just bridal. He made this incredible cake with it was a cake, but on top of it, the part on top was sculpted out of like Rice Krispie treats, and it was an owl delivering like their letter, except of like their wedding invitation, essentially.
Oh, that's so cute.
It had like edible. It wasn't rice paper, but it was something similar to like the kind of paper that like stuff can be printed on.
Yeah.
Things like edible stuff. Anyway, he cut out feathers out of all of that and made it was like the most realistic bird on top of this. And it was gorgeous, but it was definitely also his his way of getting the opportunity to do that. Sorry, I'm talking. I have you guys on the screen over here, and then I have YouTube up on this side, and it's delayed. So I suddenly look like out of the corner of my eye. I see my hands doing this over there. I'm talking with my hands.
It's like, I'm not doing that.
I don't know where that came from. I never talk with my hands. You see how I almost even said that with a straight face. Anyway, so yeah, they had somebody else making the wedding cake, and he usually does that for anybody in our entire extended family. So it was his opportunity to still get that creativity out there when he wasn't actually doing it for their wedding, because it was an elaborate, definitely could have been for their wedding type of a cake.
Nice.
I have a interesting fact about Ravenclaw.
Mhm.
So I recently told Lisa this. Most of the Ravenclaw merch, instead of having the house mascot of an eagle, has a Ravenclaw.
Yes,
on
it does. Yes, it does.
Something else is its colors are misrepresented.
Yep. And of all the houses, they are the ones who would care. It's funny. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder how many Ravenclaws actually notice.
I am firmly of the opinion that they misrepresent the colors for the purpose of irritating it, because they're made by Slytherin.
Oh,
They're like, they will notice.
Most of my best friends are Slytherins, so we don't take Slytherin hate around here.
I am not saying that it's a bad thing to be Slytherin, but it's a super Slytherin thing to do.
It is a Slytherin kind of thing to do.
Good
I have
grief.
a-
Lin-Manuel
I have-
Miranda's a Slytherin.
So I have
Lin-Manuel
a-
Miranda is the most Hufflepuff person in the planet, and somehow is still a Slytherin.
I have a set of Hogwarts mascot art in my Etsy shop, and what they are is each one is an animal character based on the mascot animal. But I've created them like they're a medieval fantasy character, kind of like they look like something out of Redwall or something like that. And they're really, really cute. But I was
They
like,
are
okay,
very
when I
cute.
do this, we're gonna get some stuff right that doesn't usually get right. And so I did. It was an eagle, and it was the right colors. And Slytherin is just the cutest snake, and the Hufflepuff character actually looks kind of tough. I'm just like, we're gonna
So
get some things that don't
my
usually
big-
get got here.
My big irony is that I really am not into Harry Potter
Mhm.
at all,
Mhm.
but I'm such a geek that I know like so much in-depth stuff about Harry Potter because I'm in all of these geek groups and
Yeah, I have a
part
I
of
have
the
a dear-
zeitgeist.
I have a dear friend
baby.
who's never read the books. She has seen the movies eventually because her husband loves the movies, but she knows so much. She likes to read Harry Potter fan fiction. She's never read the books, but she devours Harry Potter fan fiction. And so she knows the world inside and out, but she's yet to actually read the actual books.
I love seeing people react to things about it. I love seeing like memes about it and things because even though it doesn't mean much to me, I just love seeing people love the things they love.
And you know what?
I'm like a fandom fan.
Yeah, and you know what? As someone who like my when I'm actually going out and doing what I do for a living and not just selling stuff online, I go to conventions, I pop up a table, I sell stuff to people, and I can tell you without qualification that the single nicest fandom that I interact with person to person is Harry Potter people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like they're so nice.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
now they might have been. I mean, that might be a generational thing. They might have all just kind of grown up and matured a little bit by now, but they're just generally pleasant, friendly, nice people.
Well, the Harry Potter fandom is, it's our generation.
Yeah.
Not that everybody is in our generation, but it's our generation that it started with.
Yeah.
And like things like Star Trek, Star Wars, they're multi-generational now.
Right.
And Harry Potter's getting into that, but it's not yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, there hasn't been time for as much of the like gatekeepery stuff to start. And actually, as a huge diehard Trekkie, I had somebody get mad at me for using the word Trekkie because, and I quote, Trekkies are people who are living in their mom's basement, obsessing over things and don't know how to have proper hygiene, and Trekkers are the real fans.
Oh my word. Yeah. I mean,
and apparently
here I am making Tolkien art, and I would say that is my primary fandom. I mean, obviously it's like a third of my business, and I've had some actual internet fights with people this week, which I don't even engage with usually. I'm embarrassed of my fandom right now for the way some of the older ones are behaving on the internet. We don't need to go there. I don't need to bring that rant into this. But
no, I understand. My sister is she was possibly going to join us for this, but she wasn't able to fit it into her schedule. But she might try to pop in occasionally if she's able to. But she kind of blew my mind a couple weeks ago when she said the words, "There is so much drama happening in the knitting community."
Really?
And I was like, what? And it actually was like this big like knitting influencer who had gotten into a bunch of like really racist comments and things like that.
yeah,
And we have Rebecca's iPhone. I wonder if there's a Rebecca that's going to follow.
maybe you're gonna come up.
But it was just all this like racist commentary and stuff, and things like dividing. And apparently there's an entire like knitting magazine devoted to basically white supremacist knitters knitting like
so
racist
horrible.
things.
That's
Like,
so horrible.
It's
my goodness.
awful. But thankfully, and I'm not saying what the name is because it doesn't deserve to be advertised anywhere, but their actual name is such a common knitting term that if you search for it, you'll just come up with things explaining how to do that thing in knitting, not with the magazine. So like, yay, people who don't know how SEO works.
Oh goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Hello.
Kitty house.
I'm finally here. That took way longer than I wanted it to.
That's okay. We've been talking about
We've been talking about
fandom drama and about Harry Potter houses.
I want a Harry Potter house.
Just to update everybody, by the way, guys, I only managed to read the first out of both stories.
So what you all are saying is that we're talking second story, and
my
nobody else
D&D session on Sunday, and then my D&D group made me throw the entire plan out the window. So it was a very stressful weekend for me, and I did not get to read.
Possibly we should only discuss the first story tonight.
I'm down for that one.
I'm fine with that. I did start it. I just did not finish it.
They made an interesting pair. Second story was really kind of lovely in its own little way.
The second story that only Erika finished.
What?
I said the second story that only Erika finished reading.
I like the first page and a half.
I'm serious, you guys. Like my D&D group, I'm putting so much work. I get into the campaign, and my group just made me throw the book out the window. I did not have time to read a book.
Is that not the definition of Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes,
That is
Karen,
the standard.
The point is to throw the DM off. I mean, right?
I didn't help
It's
that one of the
DM
members
against
actually
players.
used to be our DM, so he, knew how to do stuff, including irritate the DM. So
Purely sponsor me. One of my D&D podcasts I was listening to today. And I'm listening to back episodes right now. I think I'm somewhere around 2020, like February of 2020 for this particular one. But they got to this thing where like a couple people that had been part of a like group of bounty hunters that were looking for the heroes, and they came up and they're like, they're like, we finally found you. And we don't usually have a quarry this difficult to find. And he like takes a breath to say more, and the like loose cannon of the group is like fires Eldritch Blast. And he's like, whoa, wait a second. He's like, what? Carter's not gonna like wait for anybody to say any more than that. They've said that much. We know that people are looking for us. He's going immediately on the offensive. He's like, cool, I have a page of dialogue here that will never get read.
Yep. How Brandon is in our campaign.
Is why I write down basic notes of
I'm
approximately
in a Zoom call.
Hi, Jelly Bean.
Come here.
Okay, you're sideways.
I forgot to turn off my rotation lock. Let's see. There we go. Dr. K.
I'm the only one here.
Auntie Kay and Erika and Lisa and Karen.
And we're going to talk about a book. Have you read this, Jilly?
Have you read that?
Read this book, Jilly?
I think I have.
You think you have?
You have.
Can I have some candy?
No, Daddy's making supper, silly butt.
All right.
Took that out of here.
I took that out of my pocket.
Huh?
Okay,
So we are streaming. Just throwing out there that we do have the stream running.
You go get Daddy.
Yeah.
So Becca, what are you working on tonight?
Nothing in particular. I'm gonna do one of my drawing prompts because I'm kind of dry for ideas.
Okay. So yeah, I think I'm looking forward to reading the lovely story that Erika said is next. But I think for this week, let's just talk about
saying I liked it. Don't take that to mean.
No. The fact that you said it's kind of lovely means it probably doesn't have somebody committing suicide yet again. You're like, well, actually.
Yay.
All I'm saying is, as much as I look forward to continuing in the stories, I think that we will stick to only discussing the one that we've actually all read for this week.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, I debated, because this one split into two parts and is slightly longer than any one of the others. I debated doing one or two this week, and I was like, well, it's not that much longer.
And the second one was short, but
apparently for the weeks that we had, it was too much reading. Facts concerning the late Arthur Jermyn and his racist family.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yikes.
Worth noting that we don't love everything that H.P. Lovecraft about humanity. Can we all just agree on that?
We love the craft. We do not necessarily love
not
the
everything.
beliefs.
Not everything the person thought. Oh boy.
I'm okay. I swear this is related. I'm rewatching for the third time The West Wing, and I feel like especially in season 2, they really hit a couple different points where they're just like, can we just acknowledge that we don't have to put like this kind of spin on every single thing, because it's vaguely possible that the voters are smart enough to be able to understand that, say, just because the president doesn't like green beans doesn't mean that he's against the entire state of Oregon just because they're producers of green beans. And they go through several different things like that. And there's one part where they're discussing putting somebody on a stamp, and they're just like, can we not just accept that just because like he believes in, I can't even remember which thing it was. I think it was Puerto Rico as a state, if I remember correctly, and that we're not making a political commentary about his beliefs one way or the other by putting him on a stamp. Which I said, why isn't Puerto Rico a state though? But
right.
but it's the same kind of thing. We can appreciate his writing, and
share that view.
not think that the best option that somebody has is to pour oil on themselves and light themselves on fire.
Yeah.
Even if they're racist.
What they see in the story. I'm not giving it away, just saying what they see.
I mean, I'm just
that.
What?
That's where it started.
That is the very first one.
Which is honestly a really cool writing device that I always love to see used well. Is opening with the ending and then showing us where we get there.
Yeah, that's a very important element is to see used well, because I've definitely seen it used poorly before as well. But yeah, I agree. I love seeing that used well.
Yeah, it gets the reader really intrigued in the story. Like, how did we get here?
Highly
Especially
anybody else in this call like the show Hannibal?
I have not seen Hannibal.
Okay.
I want to watch it, but I feel like I have to be in just the right mind frame
Hannibal
too, and I have not been.
may have been the best use of that storytelling technique I have ever seen. But I don't know if anybody else here would.
I love when somebody uses that sort of device and it still catches me by surprise.
Right.
I feel like Father Brown.
Too.
What?
Oh yeah, Tangled did this too.
Yes.
True. Father Brown has many episodes where they tell you not only like who did it, but sometimes even you like see a scene of them committing the murder or whichever thing they did at the very beginning. And when it comes to the end, you're still surprised by what it actually was.
Right, because it's about how it was done and not
why. And it's totally not what you expected or why or how or that person that you just witnessed kill somebody. It turns out wasn't actually killing them and there was still somebody else who did it.
Yep. I did I love Father Brown. I did a quarter on mystery stories with my middle schoolers every other year, and it was always fun to talk about those different types of setups because you're used to the whodunit type setup, but there are other really cool variations on that. Always fun to pull those apart and look at them.
Yeah. I tried in one of our writing classes in college to write a mystery story like that when we were supposed to write something that was a different genre than we usually write. I love reading mysteries, and part of why I love reading mysteries is that even though I can often guess the ending, I cannot write an effective mystery. That was maybe one of the closest I've come to writing an effective mystery, but it was still like, just looking back at it, it was so tropey.
I mean, that was a long time ago. I think that most of what we wrote was tropey.
Well, yes, but also I really, really hope that my writing has grown since, in the past decade plus. So, does anybody want to give the overall summary of the late Arthur Jermyn? I'm just making French now. That's how French is pronounced, right? I don't know. I couldn't get Duolingo to think I ever pronounced it correctly.
I took 5 years of it. I still can't speak a lick of French.
I gave up on French when French. I can't even say it in English. I gave up on French when I tried to do a few lessons on Duolingo, and then every time that it wanted me to talk, it couldn't. It kept telling me that I was pronouncing it wrong. And then at one point, like I was eating breakfast while I was doing it, and I took a bite, and then I tried to say something, and when I had food in my mouth, I thought I was pronouncing it right.
Oh, that's funny.
I was like, nope, I don't want to speak a language that I have to have my mouth full to be able to pronounce it right.
Thanks, but no thanks. Set.
So anyway, does anybody want to do the overall overview?
I don't know if I would do it justice because me trying to explain it is pitiful at best.
I mean, I can give a decent overview of the first half of it, but I read the second half very, very quickly.
Yes.
I can give a really short one.
Sure, go for it.
So it's one of those types of stories where it's very full of details to make it feel realistic, and to kind of trap you into a surprise ending. But basically, there was a main. It opened with a main character killing himself, and then then it's the story of why. And it basically traces 3 generations back in his family, to an explorer in Africa. And it gives us all these seemingly unrelated details about his family and about kids who were born with mental or physical deformities, and a secret wife that was kept hidden away, built in with this legend that one of his that ties into his family heritage about a hidden city in an African jungle that there were legends about, of white colored apes. And there's this story thread that keeps coming back, and there's supposedly this artifact that's going to point toward that. And then we find out that this artifact is a mummified goddess of the apes, right? And so our main character eventually makes arrangements and is super excited. He's been digging into I think it was his great grandfather. If I really had time, I would have made a family tree, but I did not have time. But he's getting into the
more generations than I expected.
That there were great grandfather that his great grandfather had done. I'm going to call him a great grandfather for now, although I might be getting that wrong. Going to dig into it. And so he finally makes arrangements, and he figured he's finally going to get his hands on this artifact. Anyway, it shows up. And it becomes very obvious that his great grandfather or somebody connected to him actually had married / procreated with this ape, that this is not just the goddess. This is like his great grandmother. She's got a necklace on with the family crest. There are several other things that point toward it. Apparently he even has some physical resemblance to this specific creature. And in discovering that his entire family has been that everything about the physical and mental deformities and the hidden wife and everything falls into place, as we realize that his family actually intermarried and procreated with a monkey about 3 generations back. And realizing this, he can't handle it anymore, and he goes off and he sets himself on fire. That's the story.
Basically.
Any additions and corrections? Welcome.
No, I did just look back trying to figure out the lineage. I think you're right that it's I think it's his great grandfather.
I think it's his wife.
It's his
but I'm looking at it going, is that
great grandfather?
Is it?
Yeah. Great.
I might have skipped somebody somewhere along the way. There are a few names that are a little too similar.
Right.
Especially the last two.
It's like
Arthur
and Heights. Everybody's
Arthur and Alfred.
Yes.
It's like reading Jane Austen. If they're perfect, their name is Jane. And if they're a bad guy, their name might start with a W. Quick side note from the body horrors, I have to delve into Jane Austen for half a second. But the Pod and Prejudice podcast, which I love, they've only read so far through the first through 2 books, Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility. They just finished Sense and Sensibility, but Molly, the one of the 2 hosts who has never read Jane Austen before, after discovering as soon as she met Willoughby, basically, she was like, she was like, I don't know, he seems like a really great guy, and I kind of want him to be a really great guy, but I just have this theory that Jane Austen was slighted by some guy whose last name started with a W, and so she's just gonna make all the villains start with a W.
Yep, I agree with that theory.
No
it only
lie.
holds true for Pride and Prejudice and Sensibility.
No lie, when I was growing up and I was writing my stories, the two main characters, their initials would start with my crushes at the time's initials.
So see, I always did my crush's
Definitely
middle
never did
name
that.
so that people wouldn't figure it out.
I would change the name, but like you could tell, like, and whoever I was crushing on, their initials was the character.
That's hilarious. I love it. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I made some resin stuff the other day, and I used some black glitter in it, and now I have black glitter all through my book.
Oh no!
I mean, if ever there's something that fits in a Lovecraft book, black glitter is probably
Black glitter, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a really wonderful glitter story, but I don't think anybody wants to hear it right now.
What?
I said
Sorry,
I have
I
a
was
wonderful
coughing.
glitter story. I have a wonderful glitter story, but it's not in any way related to book club discussions.
Because I'm
The
super
glitter.
always on topic about everything. Okay, so I'm trying to find, there was one thing in particular that the end note, I don't know what this one is, just like going through it.
I did
This as well.
I did think it was interesting how much it talked about how much of his personal life was tied into this story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he was using this to work through some stuff.
Very
about
much,
how
I think.
about how he felt about his family having issues.
Yeah. And that's the one that really struck me.
Mhm.
Was the one about Sir Robert himself, after repeated attempts at suicide and a stubborn refusal to utter any articulate sound, died of apoplexy. Is that the right pronunciation of that word?
I have no idea.
I'm always like,
Sure.
apoplexy.
Is the reader curse knowing
works
all
for
the
me.
words and not knowing how to say them?
He died of that in the second year of his confinement. And it said that that was something that was what he was told about his father, apparently, but his father was not actually silent and refusing to say any words when he was institutionalized. He was perpetually angry, and it was because he had syphilis.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Lovecraft had just such a beautiful, wonderful life. And I have no idea where his interest in
I mean,
the-
as someone who has been absolutely guilty of taking something awful I'm trying to work through and making an even more awful story about it and feeling considerably better about the thing when I'm done, I respect this.
Yeah, let me know if anybody wants to read my Janeway fan fiction, my Star Trek Voyager fan fiction, in which Janeway deals with her depression. Which is not nearly as much of a reach as I initially thought it would be when I started writing it. I was like, oh no, this character really was depressed the whole time. I thought it was just that one episode that they actually deal with it.
Just
the other thing was the right. Oh, that's who I missed. It was no, I didn't miss Alfred when I was looking back through. Anyway, Alfred got in the fight with the thing. Anyway, did anybody else start singing songs from The Greatest Showman upon reading that, or was that just me?
I did. Yeah, in my head, I was like,
Which part? Oh, with the
Of what followed, members of The Greatest Show on Earth,
Yep.
oh no.
which is in fact in reference to Barnum and Bailey.
Yes. Yep.
I think that I just associate Greatest Showman with a wholly different frame of mind than this.
It's a wholly different. It doesn't matter what frame of mind. It included the words of The Greatest Show. My brain immediately started singing
when
those
I
words.
hear those words, I instantly hear it in song.
I mean, I'm hearing it now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, now you can have that in your
Oh,
head.
there's another one.
This is what Lisa and I do to each other all day at work. Here, have another song in your head. You guys could keep talking about it. I need to address something with my son for just a minute, but keep discussing the book.
Oh no.
Excuse me.
Oh no.
Oh,
no,
Jen messed up her project.
I may have done something wrong.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
I know. Especially with beating, because it's very hard to backtrack.
Yep.
I think it's okay.
As for the book, I got really confused at times, I'll be honest. Going on about, I'm very bad at following like history plots, and that's kind of what I felt like the story was. Like a big like history lesson.
Mm-hmm.
But I got confused because at the beginning I thought he said that his traits were hideous, but then towards the end when it's describing him now, it's more that he's more.
So he's physically ugly. He's physically really ugly, but the main character, Arthur Jermyn, or however you say his last name, he was very intelligent and poetic, and basically described as having a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah. So, but his physical, but
Has
he
a
was
good personality.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful personality. You have a face for radio.
Yep. That was the other thing when he's going through the like history of everything. It talks about the mongoose that like were a big part of the story. And I did look at the notes for that, said that they are a mythical race, essentially, they aren't, they're mythical. But the fact that they describe them as mythical seems to indicate that it's not something he just made up for this either. It's an actual mythical race. Like I'm going back to Moana again, like the coconut people. What are they called? Kakamuras, like the Kakamuras.
Yeah.
Are a mythical race of the oceanic region.
Yeah.
I love mythologies. That's what I do love. Suicide stuff? No. Mythology?
Yeah.
Because never are there suicides in mythologies.
Don't look too closely at Greek.
Or Roman. Oh wait, don't look
Roman.
too closely at Roman and you'll find out that it's actually just Greek mythology.
Yeah, literally.
Renamed. Oh, accidentally bumped my table and suddenly my whole laptop was going back and forth.
Good, I didn't mess up. It just got twisted. I'm good.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
So, for most of reading this particular story,
broken.
What?
Oh.
What
Like
broke?
these needles don't like threaders, and I've pulled the wire off of these things.
Oops.
Oh no!
You have to get an actual threader. Like,
Don't. That's my advice. So when most of reading this story, I was expecting it to be like, I was gonna say the first one, but really the first two stories, where like you come to the end and you don't really know what was true and what wasn't. And I was actually more surprised by the fact that we actually found out what it was.
That it was all to a point. Yeah.
Leave it hanging like this mysterious object in a box. You never find out what it is.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on how he could get the most unpleasantness. In this particular story, it was very unpleasant when he learned what actually happened.
I assure you, anything I was imagining was worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I mean, and that's why I was expecting, because I was like, what could he possibly have to say that's going to be worse than anything and everything that I imagine with this?
Yeah.
Turned out he didn't. It's creepy enough on its own.
Yeah, it is.
But
it's very, very much reminiscent to me of dealing with the uncanny valley effect
Yes. It's just the shall we say uncanny part of that to me is that I just heard somebody discussing that in one of the podcasts I was listening to today, and I don't think I've heard that phrase in months at least, if not years, and it just came up twice in one day.
See, I hear that a lot though, because I listen to a lot of like paranormal podcasts and stuff. So
I listen to a lot of Dungeons and Dragons podcasts and true crime podcasts, and it doesn't come up much in the true crime podcasts. It did, in fact, come up in a Dungeons and Dragons podcast.
I mean, there are a lot of things that have a very uncanny valley feel to them, especially if you look at anything done by Matt Mercer.
Yeah.
Like his scarecrow,
actually, I can't even
creepy
remember why it
things.
came up this time. But yeah, I don't know. Does anybody have any other particular thoughts on the late Arthur Jermyn? I
thought it had a fantastic opening line.
Yes, it creeped me out, but it was fantastic.
any story that's just life is a hideous thing. Might have just been the frame of mind I was in that day, but I was like, I'm in. Oh,
let's go.
This one Facebook group that I'm in, somebody posted something recently, kind of reviving, hey, let's see what we come up with this time. The say the opening line of any book, or is the concept of the opening line of any book can be improved if you add and then the murders began.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't think it would make very much difference in Lovecraft.
No.
Right?
But I think 4 different people in it had the opening line to Anne of Green Gables.
Oh no.
And then the murder began. What? Hold on just a second, sorry. What? Nope.
He's not turning on the
Nope.
show.
I'll be out in 15 minutes. I love my children. I love my children. The other thing that surprised me, where it says the late Arthur Jermyn and his family, I was expecting it to be like, I don't know, I read and his family and I'm thinking like of a generation or younger. For some reason,
Something
so
like his immediate family, not a family history.
Right. And so then it said that he was the last of his family, and I was like, wait, what? And then all of a sudden we're like reviewing, and I initially I was like, I thought that it said that he had kids or something, and I'm like, I read that beginning part like 4 times trying to figure that out before I actually got further and went, oh, his like ancestral family. Took me longer than it should have to figure that out.
You know, really confused me. The Alfred who came before him, who died taming a gorilla. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm like, wait a second, wasn't Alfred the name of the guy who's supposed to? No, it was Arthur. But like,
that was the name that confused me the most.
What? And his family thing. That's like the whole point. Is that there was a monkey in his family. That is the whole point. That is an amazing title. That misleads us because like he spends most of the book talking about his actual family, and then we get to the punchline of what his family is. That's so good. It's so good.
It is. You're right. That is fabulous. I didn't even think of that. That's awesome. Oh me. Yeah, other than that, it was a very well written story that threw me for a lot of loops that I was not prepared to be thrown for.
It was definitely a wild ride, and I feel like I definitely need to stop reading it before bed because I have some weird dreams after.
Oh my god. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in the break room at work. Everybody's like, what is that? What are you reading?
Do you want me to
I
answer?
mean, The Call of Cthulhu and other weird stories. What are you reading? Nothing? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, Sharon.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming up with a name that actually does not belong to any of my coworkers. I don't want anybody to think
It's okay. It's my middle name.
it's your grandmother's name.
It is my grandmother's name.
So I think unless anybody has something else you want to say, I think we've more or less exhausted what we have to say about their
I
family.
think you're correct.
There.
I think
about the racist story.
I think the book was cute.
Their racist bestiality family.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the writing of the story, but I felt like there was a lot of unnecessary detail. Like, it could have been written to like half the length, and it would have still been funny. Well, funny, morbid.
Funny.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Interesting. Thank you.
Can I just say how interesting it was that Neville died saving his child, and all I could think of was Harry Potter.
Oh, yes.
Well, there's Neville, there's Arthur.
Yeah. Oh man.
I thought that was really sweet though, that like his one like functional son was like actually really, really functional for the family that he came from. And yeah, like, oh, he ran away with a actress or singer or whatever she was. But
I think that one of the interesting things that really gives the story some punch is that there's this idea that, there were these characters who were really awful or mentally ill, or like really like severely mentally ill, or severely physically deformed. But in the midst of this, even some of those very same characters were portrayed as not horrible people. Like that's almost one of the tragedies, is that there were really interesting or good people. Our main character was one of those too, where it was like he was a beautiful person inside, even though he wasn't outside. And I think that is like if they were all just awful humans, like, that it would have been less of an awful story.
Yeah, if they had just gotten worse and worse, and
right.
This corrupted the whole family, but it didn't, because there was still
just a super interesting point, because he's almost like he's not denying the humanity of any of them, and he's giving them actual sympathetic. There's some interesting food for thought there.
And this was written. I mean, Lovecraft's life was during a lot of the really heavy debates about eugenics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, a really salient point, that he would have written it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never looked into his personal belief. I know there are some writers of the era who were very, very in favor of eugenics, and I don't know where Lovecraft stood on that, but from this particular story, it seems like at least he was able to acknowledge the humanity of people regardless of their ancestry.
Even of a super messy, could never have
mess. Creepily messy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just remembered this. In the Dungeons and Dragons group on Facebook, somebody posted a thing about the main character of the most recent story or most recent book that you've read is the father of your child who is
Yikes.
I hadn't actually read this story yet when they posted that, and I'm going, well, would it be like the main character of the most recent story I read in it, or would it be Cthulhu?
Oh,
either way, I have concerns.
A little bit. Yeah.
totally didn't even think of that when I was reading this. Oh no, hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna turn the conversation to crafts now if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you some of the resin things that I made. I made a candle holder.
Ooh.
I was trying to do a kind of a spacey look, and I ended up with too much of the bigger glitter in it. So now I know for next time I do it, but I still like how they came out. A ring holder, and the candle holder I will probably sell. The ring holder I am keeping because I need them.
There you go.
I literally used up all the rest of my resin, and now I need to get like a gallon jug of it.
Yeah, I need more resin myself. I've used up a lot of it.
Ooh.
Ooh, pretty.
I really want this one to, I just want to put water in it and float a tea light in it.
Oh, that's cute.
And then I made a bunch of little gems and things. I actually was making, one of our coworkers has this owl necklace that she wears. It's missing one of the like fake gem eyes. And so I made some blue so that I could try to make one to match the missing eye. And I was making it in different sizes. And then, and I've got those at work. She's going to bring the necklace in tomorrow because she didn't have it with her today. But I've got it at work to test the different sizes of those. But I had no idea how much to make to fit into those tiny little things. So I just have a ton of blue gems and pendants and things now because I was just sticking it in all the rest of the molds.
Somebody showed me this thing where you can you fill the mold with water and pour that into like one of those little measuring cups that you would use for your resin, and then that's how much resin you need to make. So then
you just really smart. You know what I really wish my workshop had?
Water.
Running water, so I don't have to walk across the house to go get. I mean, I have my jugs of distilled water for using with soap and things, but I don't want to use that for things like that.
Yeah. I want to show you guys one of my favorite things that I made recently.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, it's super cute.
The rose.
I love it. I also just dropped a resin, so I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to figure out where it went. Where it.
I can show off art that is not mine.
What?
Art that is not mine.
Oh, did Sophie draw that?
Is that your niece?
Yeah.
Did your niece draw that?
Getting.
I'm getting strong olive oil vibes.
Yes.
Okay, yes, but it's supposed to be a mixture of Mirabelle and me, apparently. It's me and Mirabelle.
Mirabelle.
I'm just, because it's got glasses, I'm like, I don't wear glasses.
He's like, no, Mirabelle does. So apparently, if we mix you with an Hispanic cartoon, we get olive oil.
Yes.
That's how that works. All right, well.
And then it's still being sanded, but I'll show you guys this one too. Still being sanded.
Cool.
It's all dusty, but yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah, I spent a while sanding down the edges of these. That's my least favorite part about resin. I want it to just come out perfect in the first place. So Erika, as the one who has read Celephais. I looked up how to pronounce it. Celephais.
Oh, yeah?
As the one who has read that, should we still do the next two after that, or should we only do Celephais and Nyarlathotep? Why don't we do a couple things that are really hard to pronounce?
It looks like the next one is only like 3 pages long.
Yeah.
Like 3 pages long, and Celephais was not long at all either.
Yeah. Let's do Celephais, Nyarlathotep, and the picture in the house. I know how to pronounce all those words. Nyarlathotep.
So the English teacher in me is wanting to make a suggestion for those of us who are having a hard time following the stories. These are I mean, these are, you should be able to find material about these online. I would always encourage students who had a hard time following storylines to just look up a summary before they read it, and then they can follow the plot lines a little bit easier instead of trying to just do it cold turkey. So if that would help anybody,
I probably need to start doing that.
It's not a bad idea.
No, it's not.
I don't struggle to follow storylines so much
It
as
can
I
help
struggle
you-
to follow words in a
Yeah.
single line.
Yeah, I noticed that it helped kids who kind of tend to get lost in details versus main stuff, tell which stuff was the main stuff. Yeah, I don't know if it would help anybody, but if it would.
We
it's
haven't
worth-
had any comments in the chat, but if anybody's watching these after or plans on joining us at another time, it could be good advice for them as well.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Me too.
You guys want to see what I'm working on?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just finished the ink work for the first page of the 2023 Tolkien calendar. It is
That's so pretty.
the theme, which has not been formally announced anywhere except to my Patreon supporters, but the theme for the 2023 calendar is all going to be themed. It's all going to be themed around Gandalf.
That's amazing.
And
That's awesome.
so this picture is going to be probably the January page as well as the cover. And it is so there's space to do the calligraphy. I do the calligraphy last because the ink I use is not waterproof and I want to do a watercolor background before I do it. But the calligraphy is 2 stanzas of the poem A Lament for Gandalf from the Fellowship of the Ring. And so there's 1 stanza on either side. And around the middle, there's just a portrait. And then around the middle, I've written a bunch of the different names that he's known by. And then Gandalf down here. And then there'll be space to put typed, 2023 calendar by Erika Heins. So it's not done yet, but I'm ready to move on to the painting stage.
I wish I had one of my
cool.
one of my wizard crochet things here, like just like hold up while you're doing that. They go together.
I did also, since we last met, I did also finish the last pieces for the Classics with Cats.
And she put it on her Facebook page, and it's amazing.
I can't remember which one was I working on last time.
The
Was I working on-
perfect.
It was the Hamlet one.
Which one?
Is what?
The
Oh,
Hamlet
yeah,
one.
Hamlet.
Hamlet.
There we
Oh
go.
yeah, that's right.
I finished Hamlet.
I was suddenly like, wait, was
He's
it?
so
or was
cute.
it?
And then I had one more that I did after that. I did
I was
Meow
gonna say we had talked about Meowby Dick.
Yeah. So Meowby Dick
We're
is
working
done.
on.
With a very brownie, a very whale.
So I just the shading in that one. I don't know what it is about it, but it just really grabs me.
Sure, in Meowby Dick.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Actually, my favorite one with the shading is the Dracula one.
Oh, I can't remember. I remember seeing it, but I can't. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something about
Really,
see,
like,
that's that's the like it's really good shading, but it's the really good shading that you expect from something creepy, whereas like the Meowby Dick really draws out like the intensity of the story in a way that you don't always see in the covers. Does that make sense? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's-
Mhm.
I'm glad you like it. It makes me happy.
Anyway, we have passed 8 o'clock, so we are going to read the next 3 for next time.
And next time is
And
So-
at least
March.
next time it will be March. Yes, it will be March 1st, in fact. Next time, today is the day after Valentine's Day. Next time will be the day before my husband's birthday. And as 4 out of the 5 of us live in New England, all in the same state even, I know that at least 1 or 2 of the next 3 stories pertain to New England, because Lovecraft was
Yeah.
from Rhode Island.
One of the few New England states I haven't been to. I've been to
I've
Rhode
only-
Island and Vermont.
I mean, Rhode Island is super easy to accidentally miss. Just it's a tiny little target to and yet more area codes than Maine, I think. I think Rhode Island actually has 2 area codes, and Maine just has 1.
You know, Rhode Island's actually one of the most highest population per foot.
Right.
Highly
Per area.
density.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people for such a tiny state.
They should like
It's like
spread out
Maine.
into like Alaska or something.
Like how Maine has the
I
highest
don't think they
density.
could stand the cold.
All right. Everybody have a good night.
See you guys next month.
You too.
Bye.